crimes are going unsolved and paedophiles are being released from prison because jails are too full. Meanwhile, the likes of Hugh Edwards walks the streets a free man, while a bloke who sold access to Premier League football games gets 3 years in the slammer. That happened, by the way. If you thought that was bad, what happens with friend of the show and Telegraph columnist Allison Pearson really takes the biscuit. 2 young coppers knocked on her door on Remembrance Sunday just as she was leaving the house to commemorate our war heroes, the same men who died for our right to free speech and freedom of expression. Allison's alleged crime? Firing off a tweet that offended somebody last year. She's now being investigated for a so-called non-hate crime incident. Par for the course in Britain today, Allison wasn't told what the tweet was or the name of the snowflake who cried to the police after getting offended by something they saw online. This is what she told Nigel Farage earlier this evening.
Well, I said to them, how would I defend myself if I don't know any of the relevant details? And they looked a bit, again, a bit confused. I think they may have been on a sort of bacon roll run when they were told to come up. But it was, I'll tell you, Nigel, it was shocking. It was upsetting. I'm a law-abiding person. Nobody likes to... I respect the police. I want to trust and respect the police. This seemed to me a completely mad overreaction.
What happened to Allison Pearson is living proof of our two-tier justice system. Boris Johnson waded in tonight, saying, "This is appalling. How can Starmer's Britain lecture other countries about free speech when an innocent journalist gets a knock on the door for a tweet? Our police have their hands full of burglaries and violent crime. They're being forced to behave now like a woke Securitat, and it has to stop." And Allison wrote in her Telegraph column, "I am told by a senior Home Office source that chief constables like NCHIs, non-hate crime incidents, because they win them brownie points from various pressure groups. Good news, we recorded 15 NCHIs for Islamophobia this month." So look, I want to know who these nefarious pressure groups are and what kind of person reads something on the internet they don't like before telling the police about it. And whilst we're here, let's take a closer look at Essex Police, shall we, the force who paid Allison a visit on Sunday. In the year to August, Essex cops solved just 9% of sexual offences, 6% of burglaries and 2% of vehicle thefts. So if your car gets nicked or a junkie ransacks your house, forget telling the police about it because they're too busy monitoring people's opinions. And apparently putting Nazi salutes and goose-stepping in public, well, that's all OK too.
He's just gone to a Nazi salute. He's just gone for a Nazi salute in front of you. You saw that.
So that copper there, the clip goes on, that copper says to that man who's complaining about the Nazi salute, she says, "I'm just trying to find out where he's gone." In my book, a totally useless and incompetent officer in Brighton struggling to find out where the Nazi went. Well, why don't you try using your legs and going after him, maybe? Or is crawling social media for hurty words a bigger priority? Now, look, there are many, many decent, hard-working police officers up and down the country, but they're being badly let down by police bosses who aren't only failing the basics, but wasting valuable time and taxpayer money on complete and utter nonsense.
I used to have to use the razor that my ex-girlfriend used to shave her legs. It scratched me and it made me feel weird. But fear not, because Manscaped is back with a game changer. This isn't just any old shaver. We're talking about the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver with 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. One for that baby smooth look and another when you want to keep it a bit rugged. Get this, it's waterproof. You can use it in the shower, by the pool, or even while scuba diving if that's your thing. This beauty runs for 75 minutes on a single charge. That's enough time to shave your face, your mate's face, and still have juice left over for touch-ups. You'll also get their Power Shave Gel for a proper wet shave experience, and a face shave soother to keep your mug looking fresh and irritation-free. It's like having a barber in your bathroom, minus the awkward small talk. Click the link in the description and use the code GBN for a whopping 20% off and free shipping with the code GBN at manscaped.com. Join the 11 million blokes worldwide who trust Manscaped. Your face will thank you, and so will your wallet.
Let's get the thoughts of my panel now. Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, businessman and activist, Adam Brooks, and the broadcaster and journalist, Judita De Silva. Welcome back to you three. Adam Brooks, two-tier policing in action, Allison Pearson says.
Yeah,
Is she right?
I think it's pretty clear. Look, I'm a big fan of Allison. I know her. She's a very well-respected journalist. There's many MPs and parliamentarians that do not want to get on the wrong side of her. She holds people to account. She does her job well. Now, how can she have a visit for a tweet that she doesn't even know what she's tweeted. Look, people need to know this is a non-crime hate incident. Now, if it's a non-crime, why are the police getting involved? I believe we're now living under an authoritarian government with a Prime Minister that is just trying to control us, who has no idea what the average Brit thinks or how the average Brit behaves. It's dangerous times.
Alison talks about pressure groups. Who do you think is behind it?
Look, there's many pressure groups around there. You've got people like Hope Not Hate that try and stop people advertising on shows like this. There's many, I mean, it could be a similar group, I don't know, but there are people out there that are trying to shut down people who tell the truth or go against the narrative. I mean, how I haven't had a knock on the door from my ex account, I do not know. And now, looking at this, I'm pretty worried.
There's still time, Adam. There's still time, maybe at the weekend. Hope Not Hate, I think they have, well, they would deny at least that they're behind this incident with Alison, but... yeah, Jadisa, what's your thoughts on this whole sorry episode? It is Orwellian, don't you agree?
Not really. I think that where basically everyone's exploiting the fact that there's a limited amount of information to kind of pump up the position they already occupy. Because the key thing we do need to know is who accused her and what was the tweet. And also, when the tweet was put, or the X was put out, did she instinctively delete it? Which means that somebody of her pedigree and her intelligence knows that she wrote something she shouldn't have. So upon self-policing, you took it down, so you know something was wrong in that tweet. So she's being slightly disingenuous by saying that, oh, what could it be? And then she said in that same interview that she took it down. So then, once we have that information, it's a more three-dimensional understanding of what we're dealing with here. But it speaks to a greater problem. Social media is effectively becoming a cesspool, and particularly X under Elon Musk's reign, where he's like an advocate for free speech, but no, you're creating fertile ground for hate speech, which does incite
Even if that were true, even if X is a cesspit and there's all sorts of language on there that you don't like and thoughts and opinions and whatever else, does that mean, I mean, do you agree with Adam when he says this is an authoritarian government? Should the government be stepping in to clear up hurty words online, whether you like it or not?
No, I think that what they're setting a precedent that's going to recalibrate society, and it is needed because things are reaching a point where it's beyond the point of return.
Such as what? Can you give an example?
No, hate speech does incite crimes. It does, because think about it, social media is used as like a gathering point for everybody knowing that there is a collective that thinks like me, let's move as one. It's effectively a platform for propaganda, which can be pointed in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I mean, look, where I do agree with you is there is an information gap here. And it's at least possible that someone could say something on X that is a crime or provokes a crime. It's possible, and Alison can't recall this tweet, so we don't know what it is.
Well, they haven't even told her.
They haven't even told her. That's the scary part here. I can imagine a scenario in which somebody's tweeted something on Twitter that causes a riot or a crime. You'd obviously get a knock at the door. What is absolutely outrageous here is there wasn't a knock at the door to say, you said this, here's a copy of the tweet. We are worried that this then led to this, and that you are therefore causally connected to this. All of that should have been completely reported and upfront to her. She can't recall what the tweet was. Essex Police know what it was. It should have been explained to her exactly. Police officers often deal with things which aren't yet crimes. You might see a gang of lads hanging around on the street corner causing a little bit of a ruckus. No crime's been committed yet, but you go along and explain what your problem might be. Essex Police have explained nothing to Allison Pearson.
But that's what I say.
And if you can't do that, you have no business knocking on her door.
There's a grey area because that's what I'm saying, we don't know all the pieces. We are completely agreed in unison that there needs to be more information and more full disclosure, but then up to a point, because you never know that who they're calling the victim might feel that this particular person with the platform she has could be detrimental to them. Should she know she's that person?
They should at least told her what the tweet was.
Yes, they should.
And why it cleared the threshold that the police needed to turn up to her house on a Sunday morning.
I think it's indicative that she was aware something was wrong if she herself said she took it down.
Let me just clarify something.
That could just be she thought it was discourteous. The police do know what this tweet is. Essex Police's press statement is lamentable.
Yeah.
They should have been able to explain, if you are going to somebody's house on a Sunday morning, the specific nature of the problem, not necessarily the complainant.
Let me just correct something here. All these left-wing commentators are saying X has become a cesspool and
they're all leaving, Adam. The Guardian's quit tonight.
Right, look, at the end of the day, over the last 5 years, I've had threats, some against my life. I've had my businesses targeted. On a daily basis, I am called all sorts of names and threatened. And it all comes from the left, or people on the left. So this notion that it has suddenly become a right-wing cesspool is an absolute joke. They're not getting their own way.
That isn't accurate. I never said it was right-wing. I said it's a cesspool.
The left are not getting their own way now. We've got community notes that keep things in check. Even Elon Musk himself has been community noted. This is a fair platform that allows truth. So at the end of the day, we are the media now, and they do not like it.
Let me get the thoughts of Janita. Specifically, what you say X/Twitter and social media, the wider aspects of it, is a cesspool. Can you give some examples? You say it's propaganda.
I can use personal reference that the kinds of things that are said to me, it's all racially driven, it's misogynistic, and because it's free speech.
Well, I don't see any of that on my feed.
Oh, do I?
That's why I'm actually going to be joining Lineker. I'm leaving X as well because.
Are you going to post about it and tell everyone like?
I'm not that self-congratulatory.
But of course, it's messy.
But the thing is,
isn't it? Free speech is.
This is the thing. We are basically describing effectively what the problem is. You've created a space where people who think that way know I'm safe to vent and say spew all the bile I have within me, and they'll call it free speech. Why is it when they give you freedom you have to be abusive?
Well, I don't think you have to, but in my book, if you want to be abusive, that is free speech. I don't agree with it. I think people should be kind to each other, but that is free speech. If you police hurty words and offensive words, that's not free speech. Can I ask you though, Juditha, what are you complaining about the propaganda on social media when the old Twitter regime was censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story during the 2020 election? They lied and said it was Russian disinformation. 51 ex-intelligence officers put their name down saying, yeah, this is Russian disinfo. That, according to Donald Trump, he argues that swayed part of the election. Were you complaining then about the propaganda and censorship?
I am 100% across the board that there should not be censorship, there should not be editing of information.
That's the point. Were you and your colleagues on the left side of the debate vocal about it as one now, Elon Musk? Because I don't remember you being...
Everyone should have fair platform to speak to their causes and what they believe in. The way you do it, the way you execute it is the problem. If you feel that you can only elevate yourself to the detriment of someone else, you have a problem. You have a problematic character.
But that's courtesy, not crime. The problem is we've started to regulate courtesy, and that Essex Police have no business there. Yes, nasty things are said, abusive things are said. Donald Trump was taken off the platform, crying out loud, right? But courtesy is about civil society policing itself, not about Essex Police policing.
If you have a government that doesn't show endeavours to to perpetuate civil society, then you're effectively
we have to do it ourselves.
Chaos.
Okay,
civil society is different to the government.
Got a statement from Essex Police. They have said the report relates to a social media post which was subsequently removed. An investigation is now being carried out under Section 17 of the Public Order Act. As part of that investigation, officers attended an address on Sunday, November the 10th, to invite a woman to attend a voluntary interview on the matter. Well, there we go. Well, Alison writes in her column she was getting ready to go to a Remembrance Sunday service to commemorate, as she writes, all the brave war heroes who died for our right to free speech and freedom of expression. And then she had these two young coppers. She didn't blame them personally. She said they were doing their job, but had these two young coppers knocking on her door for a tweet. I mean, it's insane in my book. It's just insane.